Welcome to Kate Was Here, an improvised storytelling experiment written and performed by Doug Banks and Kat Blackard. To support this and other surprise RPG experiences, head to patreon.com/omniversemedia.
It is Friday, November 25th, 2016 at 7:44 p.m. And you are currently in the park in front of the memorial where we last left off. You there with Marty Sr. The memorial that you're in front of reads, Memorial Site for the Thanksgiving Blizzard of 1885 in loving memory of those who perished in the cold. And among the names are Brown, Emmett L., and Clayton, first name Clara. And Marty points out that he knows who Clara is, and he's told you his story of what happened to him when he went to visit Doc in 1885.
So we're still out there, sitting in front of this thing.
And you've reiterated how you got, well, first of all, Doc dying is sad, but bigger picture, really bad things are about to happen in just a few years.
Yeah.
So with and he was just digesting that information. So he says, "So are you telling me that in 30 years every Mr. Fusion reactor goes nuclear?"
Marty, it turns the world, as far as I know, the entire world into a post-apocalyptic scenario, like of exactly what you would think. Like, everything is fucked. Everything is turned upside down. Like, human civilization is all dog eat dog. Like, Mad Max murder world.
Well, we gotta find a way. We gotta save him somehow. We gotta get word to him or something.
Okay, let's go back to Doc's. It's fucking freezing out here. Okay, so we're walking, and I'm like, so this letter says that Biff Tannen gave the sports almanac to himself.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is a long time ago now, but he'd gotten.
Which Biff Tannen?
Biff Senior, Biff, just Biff Tannen.
Like, he's an old man right now in this timeline. That's the Biff Tannen that did this?
Yeah, when Doc helped my kids, I had a problem with my kids. Doc showed up in 1985, took me and Jennifer. We went into 2015. We solved the problem with my kids. While we were doing that, somehow Biff got into the time machine. He took an almanac back. It was my fault. I thought I could make a few bucks on the side if I had some information about the future, and Biff stole my idea, took the DeLorean back to 1955, gave it to his younger self, and caused a whole bunch of terrible things. But thankfully,
I only exist because Biff Tannen went back in time. That's insane.
Yeah, that sounds heavy. But you exist now. Like he's like you, because you talked a little bit about this, about how there's another version of you, but yet you're still here. So like, just sharing. You've both been sharing a lot of information, and I guess it is kind of comforting that there's a fellow time traveler who can sympathize and empathize.
Yeah, finally Marty's experiences met up with my own.
Yeah, and just
sort of.
And just like you're both trading war stories of like how messed up like this is, and how he had his mom had the hots for him, and how awkward that was, and how trying to avoid that, and he almost erased himself, but yet there's two of you. It's like the inverse. This is weird. There's a lot of crazy.
Well, and as we open up the Doc's garage, I'm like, okay, well, look, I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't know if you and Doc ever messed around with this at all, but like, remind me, Doug, is it the refrigerator, or is it the essentially telephone booth?
You see, in here there is the refrigerator.
Okay, and what are the specific? Just so I don't fuck this up, what are the specific mechanics of the refrigerator?
It has to be It has to be powered on with the power source, unless there's a charge in it. And the way it works is you get in, you set the date. It's supposed to zap you back.
Yeah.
And it creates a temporary temporal field around you that will dissolve after about 4 hours. And then you show up right back in the refrigerator. No matter how far you wander, no matter where you go, you're going to fade in back in the fridge from where you left.
Right.
But when you go back in time or forward in time, you land wherever the fridge was.
Yes. Right. Okay. So this is the thing that started all the trouble. But I know how this works. If we, like, this is where I can be the message in the bottle. This is where I can fix it. I can go back in time to a point where Doc has the capability of doing something different, lightning shielding himself, whatever it takes to make sure that he's not stranded and dies in a blizzard. Because I'm sure no matter what state you left him in, no matter what place of, I don't know, peace, understanding, whatever it was, whatever possessed him to be there doing that. I mean, I guess he's in love, so sure, that's great. But like,
he didn't want to risk further time travel. He thought that it would cause the universe to destroy itself, but with knowing that there's a freaking apocalypse.
Yeah, he might not be wrong, but the only problem is, I'd love to say I could take it from here and let him do his thing, but I don't think he wants to die in a snowstorm. And also, like, he has been working on this. He knows what's up, and he didn't tell me what he learned yet. I don't know how to fix this. I don't have any clue. Yeah.
And based on the letter and all the context of speaking with him, you know that Doc had a plan that would take several months to implement in the 1880s, but he dies before that could happen. He dies just a few days after the letter's written.
This time, we gotta be Biff. We gotta, I don't know, steal the time machine, put it right back or something maybe. Or maybe we can just talk to him. But we gotta get to Doc. Either to get to Doc, to get in a time machine, to get back to the 1800s and help him survive this snowstorm, or just, like, tell him whatever he needs to know to not die.
So you're back in Doc's. You're in, like, his old rundown laboratory. I'll say that Marty, as he's looking around, you've been having a very serious conversation, but he's been also looking around through all the stuff to see, like, what he can remember and everything. And he's feeling he's looking kind of nostalgic and wistful at some of the old stuff. But as he's not familiar with the fridge or with any of those other machines. So he's kind of, you've been going about the whole history of how Doc had these other time machines, and that's how you got stuck in this whole mess. And he's just, he'd never heard about any of it. He says, so the plan. So if you want to go back and save Doc, we got to find out. Let's look up some more information. If you go back now, what do you say? A blizzard happens sometime. We got to be ready for it. We know the day that it happens, but let's see. So he's going to pull out a personal electronic device that sort of looks like a little sort of like one of the larger smartphones that we would see today. And it has a little kickstand and stuff. He's going to clear off a space on, like, one of the shelves, and he's going to try to turn on some of the lights in here just to get it kind of so you can see and hear and stuff. And he's going to try to hook up get some kind of, like, Wi-Fi signal. And he's going to start looking up some information about Hill Valley in that year. And I have some information I can parse out to you.
Cool.
So the blizzard in question happens on Wednesday, November 25th, 1885. And there's actually a good fair amount of information about it because of eyewitness reports and letters that people had written at the time. Apparently, the blizzard on that day, the blizzard starts a little after 10 a.m.
Okay.
And it lasts over 24 hours. And this is actually part of a real life, I'll tell you, as Doug outside the game, in the 1880s, especially in 1886, there was a real thing called the Great Plains Blizzard of 1886 that started snowing one day and didn't stop for about a month.
Wow,
and
that's rough.
There were multiple tragedies all throughout the West, including the schoolhouse blizzard of 1888. Men, women, children died, just frozen in the cold because they were stranded unexpectedly. And the thing that made all of those blizzards deadly, obviously the cold, but also more importantly for this blizzard that we're talking about, is that it came very suddenly when the temperature at the time, there was no hint of an incoming blizzard. It was actually uncharacteristically warm.
Oh, wow.
And this is true. This is also true to life with these actual other events. Like, things were very normal. In fact, a little bit warmer than that time of year. And then in the span of about 1 hour on the horizon, whoosh, comes in. And that's bad enough to be caught out somewhere where you're not wearing a winter coat.
Yeah.
But then you're permanently stuck somewhere for 24 hours or more, family separated, just going about their daily lives. You go out to pick up some beer or something at the tavern, and you can't even come home for 3 days, and then people get lost trying to, in the blizzard being so bad, you can't even see, you can't see 50 yards in front of you.
Yeah, I didn't even know something like that was possible in terms of that fast turnaround. That's crazy.
That fast and lasting that long.
Yeah.
And in the case of the Great Plains blizzard of '86, it was like a straight nonstop month of nonstop snow. Lots of people died. Lots of children died because they were in school that day.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
So it was bad, and it looks like in Hill Valley is a small town. It looks like maybe 24 or so died, just being lost in the snow or through other means that the memorial doesn't say. But the information you can find online is that there's eyewitness reports, written letters and stuff. The people are just confirming that, and around 10 a.m. a little bit of snow started. They could see a storm on the horizon. Didn't seem that bad, but by the time it was 11 a.m., it was a whiteout. It was just completely. I mean, to say nothing of like livestock that died, trains were slowed down. I mean, everything. Like, trains were stopped.
Yeah.
So you have a very specific time now in terms of like when things are about to get really bad. And that makes it the day after the letter. So Doc drops the letter off or signs the letter on November 24th.
Right.
And then at 10 a.m. on November 25th, shit hits the fan. And it doesn't let up until the 26th, like around noon on the 26th, and that's Thanksgiving.
Gosh. Okay. Marty, when things got started, when you ended up traveling to the future and you did all your stuff, and then you went back in time to the Biff Tannen controlled 1980s, and then you fixed that, and then to fix that you went back in time to the 1950s, and then Doc went back in time to the 1880s, and then you went back in time to the 1880s, and that was all one thing. There was no in between. It all just happened in sequence like that.
Yeah. After I went to 1885, my plan. Doc told me to go back to 1985 and destroy the time machine. So I went back to 1885 because I knew he was going to be shot by Biff. Buford Tannen. He's going to be shot by Buford Tannen, so I went back, wanted to bring him with me, but he was going to come with me, but then he met Clara, fell in love, and whole big thing, and ultimately I ended up leaving, and he stayed behind.
Right.
And when I landed in 1985, the train hit the time machine, and that was that. It's the last I saw him.
Okay. Trying to think. Because the Doc who is easiest to communicate with is the one who is furthest ahead in the time stream. The least amount of explaining, and most importantly, the least amount of him fussing over knowing something. Do I have any reason to believe that Doc Brown went back, this is a Game Master question, to this place, this year, at any point in his continuity? Like, say, for example, when he was getting rejuvenated or whatever, or all the different times that he popped off and I wasn't around.
You and Doc.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the thing that was weird about this is, if I'm just make sure I get my facts straight, when you approached, you didn't see signs of you being here. It appears that with the ripple effect, it may have gotten rid of a time that you were here and maybe Doc had been here, which seems strange, but you're not sure about getting signs of whether or not he or you have been here in a previous 2016. Because the actions that you have done may have overwritten, because you remember you sent yourself the text message and stuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of conflicting stuff that led to this being like this.
This fridge, it can thrust me in a bubble in time basically for a matter of 4 hours or so, and then I can bounce back. So I can shoot back enough like let's say before Doc even writes this letter, and then
But if you interrupt the letter being written,
right, how would I know? Shit. Okay, so I have I have a day. What?
you have a day.
I have a day, but really 4 hours in a day to do this, and it goes to exactly the point on the planet where the fridge was,
Where the
right?
fridge is now.
Right. So we gotta move.
So well,
fridge
if you want,
maybe.
that's the thing. Now, here's the thing: you can hop in the fridge and risk showing up wherever,
Right. Anywhere.
or you can move the fridge to where you think Doc is going to be.
Yes.
And do that.
Yeah. No. That's the plan. Okay. So here's Marty. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna need you to draw me a map of Hill Valley in that time period, and we're going to need to figure out and confer with whatever exact historical documents exactly where things are, so we can precisely inject me at a point in time to save Doc's life.
He says, "Okay, I think I can do that. I think we can do this." So he's going to look for some paper. Find paper, pencil, and pen and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm looking around making sure that the emojis haven't shown up anywhere.
Not that you can see.
Okay.
The emoji to yourself. I mean, it really, you'd have to, scribble it in somewhere, and it's in the dust on the window. You didn't notice. It's no, I think you would be really smart about how to place it, obviously, so you wouldn't miss it.
Right. It would have just been here very clearly when I walked in the door.
Spray painted,
Yeah.
very large, all across the entire facade. A million times inside. So Marty gets to work on putting together a map, and he starts pointing out all these other things. He says, so he points out basically because you're not in downtown Hill Valley right now,
Right.
but where downtown Hill Valley is, he points out, okay, so the courthouse was here. It's where it's always been. This is where it was being built in the time where I left it.
Where's Doc's lab? Where does Clara live? Where is he probably?
Yeah. The blacksmith. He points out Doc works as a blacksmith. The blacksmith is right around where Texaco currently is. So he's going to mark it on the thing here. That's where so Texaco now is basically in the footprint of where the blacksmith is.
Okay.
Cafe 80s is basically where the saloon was. There's a Wells Fargo and a Western Union. There should be a barber shop, and he starts listing off some of these other places that are just just in the courthouse square, because it's not even a full complete square. There's hardly anything there. It's a really small town.
Yeah.
There's a place where you can take a bath and stuff. There's the meat market, which is really just a stall. Undertaker, so on and so on. And Clara's house is outside of town. That's where the schoolhouse was going to be built. So he's so just it's a little bit of a trek outside of town, but not far, just a couple miles probably. But that's just when he left. He doesn't know what might be different now. But if Doc is still a blacksmith, which he said he is, then it should be. It should be there where the Texaco currently is.
And he was living at the blacksmith's?
That's where he was living, yeah. It was his
Okay.
residency, but also where he would do all the blacksmith stuff, and he even would board horses there, too, sometimes.
And where does Clara live?
Outside of town, he can mark it on the map. It's
Okay.
it's a little off the beaten path, but you know.
Okay. Okay.
He says it's probably close to where Lion Estates is now.
I lost my hoverboard at some point, didn't I?
I don't think you did.
Really? Not in the scuffle at the clock tower and.
I don't think so. I think you've had it with you the whole time. I mean, if you've had it in your bag, you didn't take it out to. Didn't you use it in Yeah, you had it with you when you were hanging out in 2015 with Marty Jr.
It's just a lot of.
A lot has happened.
lot has
That was months ago. in your timeline, that was months ago.
Yeah, it feels like months ago in real time.
You have your hoverboard in your bag.
Okay, I'm wondering all right. Oh, so we've got this map. I figure either what's the backside of the blacksmith like? I always said I don't want to show up in the middle of a road with in broad daylight or whatever, but I could do it in the middle of the night. I could do it in the shadows behind the is there a safe clearing nearby where I could just pop in?
Behind the blacksmith, there's really it's sort of a shared back area, but there's trees and stuff. You're not going to be in plain sight, really.
Cool. Okay. Cool. And then alternately, if I need to very quickly get to Clara's, I rode a horse in Girl Scouts, but I don't I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to wait around for Doc. I need to find Doc. So
you'll have 4 hours. It's definitely you could get to Clara's place and back in 4 hours easy with less than an hour.
On foot?
I would say so.
Okay. Because I'm not, me personally, IRL, I don't know the walking distance between Lion Estates and
it's like
downtown Hill Valley.
I mean, if you just stick to the path, an hour.
Okay.
If that should be an hour at most.
Yeah.
Much faster on horseback, obviously.
Yeah.
Doc wrote that letter on a weekday, so if you go on a weekday, he should be at work.
Makes sense. Okay, good. Now, in theory, there are some assets on hand, and I don't know how to access them because he didn't tell me, but I wonder if we can figure that out. Because this seems like... I think this seems pretty straightforward, but I know better than to think that going back in time is ever straightforward. So I'm going to need impeccable period-accurate clothing, except that I'm not going to be a woman. How long... My hair's probably hasn't been cut. Maybe, I don't know, like, throughout the duration of my, like, dealing with the McFly kids and Kyron and all that. So my plan now, which I'll articulate in some way to in scene, I suppose, is I want to go back in time as a cowboy so that I won't have to deal with sexist bullshit and also the discomfort of, like, what dress is OMG. It was bad enough in the 50s. It sounds real bad to me now. So I'll just be a fair-faced cowboy twink. I want to come prepared with the hoverboard. Like, I need a bag that looks period accurate that I could keep the hoverboard in. Like, I don't know, like some kind of, not a saddle bag because that has to go on a horse, but like something that like maybe just a duffel. I don't know, something that is inconspicuous. So I've got that. What else will I need? Probably my gloves.
Marty's like, I think I got a couple things left over I could loan you.
Okay. Let's put our heads together and then, like, I guess figure out, like, work with Marty to figure out where the assets are, because I don't want to mooch off of him, obviously. Like, I've got to... If Doc Brown is letting me be his time travel protege, then I'm gonna take advantage of that and save his ass.
Doc gave me some... The first outfit Doc gave me didn't work. It drew way too much attention. So I know. Believe me, I think between the two of us we can figure out something really nice. So, do you want to head? You can head back to the McFly residence and you can figure out what. At least so you're not hanging out in the dusty.
Let's meet my friends for the first time again. That'll feel great.
Yeah. Well, you can head back with Marty Sr. back to his place, and so if you're back at the McFly residence, you can hang out and figure out what you're going to do. And I'll say at this point it's late enough to where, like, Jennifer's home, all the kids are home.
Hey, Marty, do your kids know about you being a time traveler?
Yeah, no, don't say anything.
I'm just curious.
So when he's going to introduce you to the kids and to Jennifer, and he's going to have to pull Jennifer aside, be like, you don't hear what he tells her, but he obviously explains to her in brief.
Blah, blah, blah. Doc Brown's secret, like, time travel protege.
And she, like, looks at you like, oh my gosh, like, okay, yeah, just, whatever. And while they're going to get dinner ready, Marty's going to take you up to their room. You see him go into the closet, and he's going to dig through and eventually bring out. He's got the old poncho, he's got his old hat, and he's got the boots. He says,
"Holy shit, you kept your time travel gear?"
What? What, are you kidding me? Of course. Look at this.
You're right. That makes complete sense. It's just like,
And he dusts it off.
I've been living out of my backpack. I don't know what it's like to settle down.
Yeah. So he says, well, basically, this poncho should cover a lot. So you could even just wear jeans. I mean, I was wearing jeans for a lot of it. So if you just continue to wear some jeans under this, we put the poncho on top, and we get you a nice sort of button-up shirt. I mean, you're only going to be there for a short time. They're going to glance at you, and if you have a poncho on, we can get you a different poncho or something. But I'm sure we can get you like a good leather bag with some, like, buckles or something on it to really match. It might look a little rich for how you're dressed as a cowpoke, but I think...
Or we just, like, throw some dirt on it and kick it a bit. That'll probably work.
That's true. So yeah, between you and Marty, you can pick out at least you have a good starter kit right now.
Cool.
So if you were desperate, you just throw the poncho on and the hat and then, whatever.
I mean, granted, it might not be a good thing for me to be mistaken as Clint Eastwood.
No, but I think you could mix this up.
Poncho reversible? I mean,
no, it could be. It's this, or you could just get like a blanket and just cut a hole in it, like put it over really. Or if you want to go without the poncho, whatever you want to do. If you want to try and find like jacket and vest, might take more time. But it really depends on how far you want to go with this, how long you want to spend in 2016 getting the right clothing.
Like I'm just gonna poke around in like a Western wear. Like if Marty, like the thing is, like if Marty has any reservations, like he might not want to be like people might not want them to mistake you as Clint Eastwood. That's because
that would be a problem too. So maybe
so then like I'll go in a Western wear shop and be like, is this accurate? Is this accurate?
Yeah, he could sit there with you and like thumb through some stuff and. Then say if you want, we can pick it up at the mall tomorrow, and then you can pick up any
right
supplies
because they fabricate stuff, right? So
yeah,
like, that's how this is done now, in this timeline, in this version of my present. Great. Okay, yeah. So we're fabricating some period accurate clothing. We're gonna get it nice and dirty, and great. So, So was the whole family around? Like, did I get introduced to?
You'll eventually. If you're going to stay for dinner, yeah, you're going to.
I assume I'm here for probably as long as
at least overnight.
As it takes, yeah. And what's the state of Marty's life? Like I assume like things are different now.
The house definitely looks less eclectic. It looks a little more like things are up to date. It's not as much of a mix of the old and new. It looks like they're in a higher income bracket, or at least were for a while. Marty Jr. Has a level of confidence that you haven't really seen in him. He's not like the slimy, wimpy kid. He's not like the coolest dude ever, but he certainly is like a different person with a lot more confidence. I mean, it's really heartwarming to sort of see a version of Marty Jr. that is well adjusted.
Right. That is amazing.
Yeah. He still is he's a little shy, but he's by no means like
he's not like, oh gosh, I'm talking to a girl.
Yeah, no. In fact, he might be. He's kind of when he meets you, it's kind of like, hey, Dad, what's hey, like he was gonna pull Dad aside and be like, what? How do you know this lady? And he's like, oh, she's Dr. Brown's niece. He's like my uncle back in the day. This is his niece. She's passing through town. She wanted to see where her uncle grew up and stuff. So he's making all these excuses as to like how.
And I'm filing the excuses away.
Yeah, you're just a friend. You're just a friend of the family.
Right.
And he's just like, okay, yeah, all right. So then you can all sit down and.
Marlene's at college now at this point, right?
I believe she answered the door, so she's probably, considering it's a little after Thanksgiving, she's probably was here for Thanksgiving. Is going to go to college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll probably, when I'm not hanging out with Marty, I'll probably be making some attempts to like rekindle my relationship with my friends. I don't know, I'll ask them a bunch of leading questions that I already kind of know the answers to, but I'm curious what the versions of them are this time.
Little differences here and there, but overall, looks like they're doing fine. Marlene still wants to go into fashion. She's definitely doing some cool college stuff. She's been there for this. She just finished like her first year there.
Yeah.
Marty Jr. is about to go into college. He wants to go for programming. He's thinking about like operating systems and stuff, but he's also for the fun side of it, like that's like the bread and butter, but for the fun side of it, he's interested in like, of course, like holo gaming, holo movies. He's not really sure. He just likes the three-dimensional aspect of it and knows that there's ways to entertain.
Cool. I'm really excited. I'm showing a lot of enthusiasm towards his work and like being genuinely interested and like kind of still dealing with like the level of being encouraging that I was in the prior timeline.
Sure.
Which I'm sure just seems like, I don't know, like way too much interest, but still I'm really happy for him. With Marlene, I guess if we're doing like, I'll be like, yeah, so I'm going to be doing this live theater experience out west for like cowboys and stuff. And your dad mentioned you do fashion. Like maybe you could help us figure out a period accurate wardrobe. These people are really intense about the accuracy in their reenactments.
She's like, oh, I mean, that's pretty easy. Like, so what? You want to look for like a dress and stuff? Like,
I'm gonna be I don't really want to role play the sexism, so like I'm gonna be a cowboy.
All right, well, that's easy enough. I mean, that's if depending on the income level, you'd probably just throw together whatever you had with a lot of hand-me-downs, and she can start like gushing about like history and shit.
Good.
So
all right, perfect.
Yeah,
it's based on a fib, but it's very good.
Yeah. With that, I can say, you can stay the night in the guest room and head out to the mall the next day and get everything you wanted.
Do I have a sense for what Marty Sr. has like done with his life?
Unless you want to get into a specific conversation about it, it seems that there's some records on the wall, and it looks like he may have had a career as a performing artist of some kind, which then transitioned into record producing.
Okay, cool. I'm sure I small talked about
that.
That seems neat.
He's definitely into the music scene.
Anybody I know?
I don't think anyone that you would know from your timeline.
Okay.
So it's like, but he's got like old photos of him with his old high school group, the Pinheads and stuff, and it looks like there's not necessarily the Pinheads become big, but it certainly seems that Marty definitely did have a skill with guitar, and that led to him being like started maybe as like studio musician and then worked his way up and eventually had a couple hits, but he's not Van Halen,
right?
But he certainly is like very respectable career where he got to be creative and not blow through the money like a rock star and living that stupid crazy rock star lifestyle.
Yeah, cool, good for him. Cool. All right, yeah. So we've got our kit together. I've got a nice, accurate cowboy outfit. We'll get it good and dirty, and then what else do I want? I've got my gloves. I've got my camera. I want some kind of. Doc had some kind of Omni tool thing, right? Like fire starting thing or some kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I want if there's anything that's like a thing that can like shoot a laser or start fires or like like some kind of
like survival kit thing. Yeah,
like,
little Omni tool survival thing where it could easily start a fire and cut down branches and
cut through metal I need to. Or
the thing we could even say when Doc gave it to you in the Ice Age, you probably still have it.
Okay, cool, perfect. Well then, awesome. If I've got all that stuff, I can't see any reason why I don't have enough of an advantage to survive at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. So now the real question: if you want to show up behind Doc's blacksmith,
yes,
we got to move this fridge.
Yeah. Do you have a vehicle that can do that?
He says, I mean, we can rent one. It's not expensive. It's not a problem. I guess we'll have to charge it. So we have to have enough of a charge, then we move it. And I mean, if we could, I don't know of a way we can plug it in while we're there. So we're going to have to charge it up.
Yeah. What do I know about that battery?
Nothing. I mean, it's just so, but Marty's going to find a way to plug it in Doc's lab and then just wait for it to be charged up. And then you can go later that night under cover of darkness.
Yeah. I guess we should probably run a couple tests, like to figure out the battery. Like I could like charge it up, move it out to the yard and behind the fence or something. And then like have it dump me there as I'm going in or something or like a couple hours.
That sounds unnecessarily risky, but
risky. I mean, I just wanted to be, scientifically test controlled. Like,
I mean, I'll say that there is a meter, like an old school needle, that will measure the charge that it has. And you do notice the charge does go up after a few hours.
Okay.
And it holds when you unplug it. So.
Okay. Cool. Well then. Great. So it'll be in and out. Marty won't get tired, charged for, dumping material. We can just be there.
And from Marty's perspective, the way this should work is flash goes off, you're gone for maybe a second, and then you're back. Even though in your version, you're gone 4 hours.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well then, if it's charged, let's get it in the back of a truck and see what happens.
All right. So he'll order like a self-driving car will come, and then you can load it up, and then he'll drive, with all that. So one will pull up, you can load it in, and you're off, you're good to go. You go to the downtown courtyard area, and you wait for nightfall, so it gets to be, a little quiet. What time do you think you want to go for it? Like, you want to wait for, like, like just late at night, or you want to wait till like after midnight? Like,
So the Doc sent this on the 24th of 1885, presumably in the middle of the day, right?
considering that's when business hours would be open for something like that.
And
yeah.
then the blizzard hit the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me when that was. That was
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Jesus H. All right. I would like to arrive at 7 p.m. 9 p.m. The 25th of November, 1885.
9 p.m. on the 25th?
Wait, no, on the 24th.
You did?
Yeah.
So 9 p.m. on the 24th? Okay.
Yeah.
So Marty will, he's unloaded it. You're like in the alley, like behind the Texaco and stuff. And you notice on the wall, there's more Chiron symbols spray painted around that little face or whatever. And you're just kind of like, oh man, it's just another reminder. This whole other stuff. But he has no notice, so he starts messing with his thing, unloads it, starts adjusting the little gears and stuff on top of it.
I really quickly, I'm like, and I like take out my Sharpie and like squeak a little Kate was here real quick.
Just next to it or on top of it?
Just anywhere. I'm like, I don't like, there's a whole like lack of existence is really like grinding on me a bit. I'm like, fuck you, Chiron. Like, I was you once, kind of.
So, with that, Marty's got like the buttons all switched or whatever, and he opens the door, and it's like just like before, and he's like, okay, so I guess, I mean, it'll just be a moment for me, but if anything goes wrong, I'm gonna get this thing back on the truck and get out of here, take it back to docks. So,
hey, if anything goes wrong, I'll try to send you a Western Union.
Yeah, and but if I don't hear from you, I'm just gonna get this thing back on the truck and take it back to docks, because if you do show up, you'll still be in the fridge.
Yeah.
So just be careful that when you do show up, don't open the door right away, because I don't want you falling out of a truck.
That's fine. That's totally fine. And is the truck on the bed, or is it like, did you put it on the ground?
I guess you could keep it on the bed if you wanted to.
Yeah, because I can stand on the hoverboard in the fridge.
You can't stand on the hoverboard in the fridge. It's a fridge. It's like there's only so much room.
Okay, I wasn't sure how big of a fridge it was.
Yeah, it's a 1950s fridge, so you have to kind of, you can stand in it just barely, like it's hitting your head.
Okay, then I'll just be ready to like tuck and roll.
Yeah, you'll fall like you fell before when you were, whatever. So Marty's just like, okay, good luck, and
I'll see you soon.
He says, all right. So he's going to close the door on you, and you're inside the thing, and you hear him hitting a couple more buttons on the outside, and I'm gonna get your sequence here, and you feel it rumbling again, and this whole process, and you're just reminded of like, this is how I got stuck in this damn thing in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all like knowing everything that I know now. Like, it's like so strange doing this again.
But just
on
like
purpose,
just like before, and you can see through the slit, Marty's watching, kind of like not sure, but as you feel,
I'm waving, giving the thumbs up,
and as things light up, it just must be a weird sight for him, because he just he starts backing away slowly as the interior gets brighter and brighter. And you feel it rumbling much like it did before, but it's not quite as scary because this is old hat, by now. And as it gets up more and more intense, you can feel it rippling through you, and it's only a matter of seconds.
I am the time travel machine.
And you feel yourself falling, and you land on your butt, collapse and it was
tuck and roll.
Yeah, tuck and roll. It was a little bit steeper than you thought, but you're here. And you find yourself you landed in you landed in a bush, and then you so basically little bushes scratched on you, caught some of your clothing.
But it's cool. I've got long sleeves and thick materials because I'm dressed for the West.
That is true. So it doesn't really bother you, but and the time you want to go at 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So it's 9 o'clock, and you can hear there's horse traffic nearby, and you look up, and there's just looks like a big ass barn, like the back end of a huge building, which you're assuming this has got to be the blacksmith because it's it's big enough to hold horses and everything. And to your left, as you're facing that, the back of this broad back of this building to the left looks like the back of the saloon. There's like barrels with water, like rain barrels in them, and just like other random garbage.
So if I fell in a bush, I am ducking low to make sure, like,
sure,
like I'm not seeing any people.
Yeah, and you don't see anybody yet, but you definitely hear things. But the thing, so at first you're like, okay, it's dark, here, this, and you're just collecting your senses around you. But the thing that hits you, that's the biggest sort of surprise, is the smell, like out of nowhere.
Oh,
it's like, now that your brain has caught up to like your new surroundings, and because you fell and you look around, you're like, all right, 1800s. It just stinks. Everything smells like horse crap. Like you didn't land in horse crap, but it's the strangest thing. You don't smell garbage as you know it. You just smell poop, and
that's fine.
Poop and dirt is really like what everything, and it's to be expected.
Could be worse.
I'm sure you've been on a farm before. You've been inside a stable.
Yes.
This is much like being inside a stable, except the smell of hay isn't present.
Yeah. Not really matting up the horse diarrhea.
Yeah. No. But as you're looking around, you get a sense no one has seen you yet. You're kind of in the back. You seem to have landed like without much of a sound or without much of a disturbance. So you are free to do what you need to do.
And I'm very impressed by the stars. There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
So grinning, like for a job well done, I dust off my arms and I stroll around the side of the blacksmith. What do I see?
Well, as you step out and you step into the like the main area, you get a glimpse of the main courthouse, which is looks like it's brand spanking new.
Yeah. That's wild.
And everything around it starts to shake you a little bit of like that you're really out of your element, because it's like half of the courthouse square isn't there. It just leads to dirt and woods eventually. There's only a few buildings on the left, a few buildings on the right, and looks like the most densely part thing is to your back, to where like the saloon is, and to where like the blacksmith might be. It looks like the doors, the main large barn doors to the blacksmiths, are closed, but there like maybe some light inside. But just the scene and the smells of the horses and people just going about, paying you almost no mind whatsoever, as you're just like looking.
This is it. I think to myself, this is the time travel experience. This is what it's like to be in a marginally controlled environment. Okay.
Yeah.
Like this isn't. In fact, this isn't. I know I'm in like way worse than it was in the 1950s, but this that was really disturbing. And this feels like I'm in a cartoon in a different way. Maybe Kate's a little bit more confident. Maybe it's that she knows that she's not. That she actually looks the part. That it's been a calculated effort to be there.
And it's a time that you're at least a little familiar with. It's not a complete. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know that I can probably dance through the lingo of it a lot easier than the 1950s. Weirdly, it's less. In theory, it's less stylized. In theory, we'll see how Kate's sensibilities get tested if the interactions keep going. But anyway, it is staggering. So I rap hard on the door and say, "Doc Brown, it's Kate."
And you hear a chair like a wooden chair fall over, and you hear a horse sort of whinny at the sudden startling sound, and you hear hurried footsteps to the barn door, and he pulls it open, and he pulls it open in a start, and you just see Doc Brown.
Well, howdy, partner.
And he says, "Kate," and he's the reaction is just pure surprise. It's not anger, it's not whatever, it's pure surprise. He quickly looks over your shoulder, looks up and down the street really quick, grabs you on the shoulder, yanks you inside off the street, and closes the door behind him. And he says, "What in the name of Sir Isaac H. Newton are you doing here?" And just is he wants to smile, but he seems a little upset.
Glad to see you too, Doc. Well, and I dust off my vest, like, I came to save your ass from turning into a popsicle.
What are you talking about?
A snap blizzard happens tomorrow, and you and Clara die. Before you ever follow up on any of the plans to tell me what comes next, for starters, I can't save the future. And also, you're dead. So, sorry to intervene in your timeline, but invest in some blankets real quick. Whatever it takes. Like, it is coming
10 a.m.
10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
He says, "Oh, great Scott." And he kind of has to take a step back and process what you've told him, that, you know, he's about to die and that Clara's about to die and whatever. He's, how do you know this happens?
There's a monument erected in a park by your house.
Well, Clara and I just won't go out tomorrow, and we'll have to stay here, not at the farmhouse.
It lasts for 24 hours, whatever it takes, Doc. Like, basically, whatever I don't know what happens, but whatever comes through kills you and a bunch of other people, and because it comes so quickly and no one is prepared for it.
Right. Well, I'm going to have to find a way to get the word out and warn people. I have to say something about this. There's no way. We're not prepared. We're supposed to have warm weather tomorrow and clear skies, but if this sort of a snap blizzard, you say, it just shows up and... Wait a minute. How did you get here?
The fridge. Same way as always. I don't know what it's done to my, like, you know, time molecules or whatnot, but
Kate, I told you not to come back and to use. You can use anything, but to not travel anymore.
Yeah, I know, Doc, but that's the risk. Like, because if I don't confer with you about what happens in the future, then all the Mr. Fusions go off and the apocalypse happens. So I figured this was the path of least resistance. Just me in a bubble for 4 hours and then right back.
Right. Okay. We'll figure it out. So
first of all, save your life, and then second of all, tell me what you know.
All right. We should go talk to Clara. I'll have to let her know, and she'll have to stay with me tomorrow. But if I have to concoct a way to tell some of the people here, get the word out that we are expecting a blizzard tomorrow, at least that they can be a little prepared. If they, I can't change their lives, but if I can just warn people enough in advance, and if many people die, that could have drastic consequences on anyone who survives. And Hill Valley, if it's bad enough, without making any kind of attempt to change things, everyone could die here. And if I'm the only one who survives, then maybe I would die, a month later due to disease. If we lose our doctor, if we lose this.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I know for sure is that, at the very least, the blizzard isn't our fault. It was always going to happen. What's different is that you're here now and you die from it.
But if I need to make sure that I survive to alter the course of future events, then I have to make sure as many people survive as possible to ensure that I survive in the days to come.
Well, do you not have a reputation as an eccentric genius in this timeline?
Eccentric, yes. I try to downplay the scientist angle as much as I can, but if I maybe say I received a telegram from a friend who went to a university, maybe this is enough to convince people, but I think if maybe now's a good time. The saloon's open, so there'll be a crowd in there for sure. I could just start spreading the word to be prepared that this is November and blizzard should be arriving sometime tomorrow. It should be enough.
Yeah.
So he says, wait here. I'm going to go take care of this. I'll be right back. Try not to let anyone see you. So he's going to...
But I look so good.
You look fine. Then he leaves, presumably to go take care of that. And just as you're there, so if you take a quick look around...
Yeah, what's Doc's workshop look like?
It looks like it's cut into 3 main areas. Where you enter is like the sort of, if this was a church, the nave, sort of the main area that leads all the way to the back.
Uh-huh.
The front half is sort of an enter area with this dirt on the ground where you could bring in horses. There's stables, like little places for horses off to the right. There are 3 horses in 3 stables, and there are little name plaques in wood with burned into them is the names of 3 of the horses here, and I have it here. He's got Archimedes, Galileo, and Newton are 3 horses that are over there. It looks like that they're his. Down the middle is his like living area, and closer to the back is like where it seems to be that little more closed off. It's where he sleeps and maybe does more of his scientific experimental things that he's not. People wouldn't really understand, but it all looks very steampunk to you. And over to the left is like just a bunch of like large metal containers. It looks like it's a kind of giant factory of some kind. Like there's big machine work there, a lot of pistons and stuff. It looks like he's building machinery of some kind. Maybe he's trying to generate electricity or something.
Yeah, my eyes are following that around, trying to figure out what it does.
There's a lot of tools laying around. It looks like he'll tinker from one thing to another and move around.
I'll wander back to his living quarter / lab area and see what slices of Doc's cowboy life I can glean.
It looks like again like a lot of steampunk work on. It's hard to tell, but certain things like he's definitely in optics a lot. Like there's a lot of lenses around. Looks like he has a Winchester rifle that is laying like on a mount. It's like mounted where you could walk up and pull the trigger and it would like fire. But on it is like he has like a bunch of different lenses laying across it. Looks like he's making a scope for it, and it's like he's opened it up and he's like switching out lenses and things like that. There's a lot of interesting things there. Looks like there's a lot of clockwork pieces and sprockets and wheels and all sorts of things laying over on the table. You hear like a ticking here and there. Looks like he's got a pocket watch. He has another pocket watch that's open that's not working, and things are cross connecting and looks like he maybe have some Edison bulbs that he's tinkering with that aren't plugged in anywhere. It really.
This is I mean I think this is super fun.
Yeah, and he has like a lot of journals open with diagrams and stuff.
Any photos?
Doesn't have any. Well, it looks like he does have one photo of him and Marty standing in front of the clock.
Fuck, that's precious.
He has another photo with him and Clara, like they went into a photo booth, like the old days where you have to, like have to go and they pull the screen down behind you.
Yeah.
Him and Clara. It looks like it's a proposal photo where they're celebrating.
This is the first time I'm seeing her.
Yeah. Well, you're assuming this is Clara because this is a woman who's in the photo with him, and they look very much to be in love. Looks like there's only a bed for one, but there's like a spare bed that's got junk covered on it.
How chaste.
Yeah. Yeah, really. It's like turns out Claire says he wouldn't do it unless we got married. I don't know. Well, also, yeah, from what Marty told you, Claire has her own house too.
Right.
So that's the other thing. This is more of like the working
She's a
thing.
school teacher, I was told.
That's right.
Yeah.
After a few minutes of this, Doc will come back and he closes the door behind him, and he says,
"How'd it go?"
They all took it under advisement. I let everyone know. I told the doctor specifically that that my friend is pretty reliable, so that just to be safe, that there had been a flash blizzard that had happened a couple weeks ago over like in Boston. So they think that should be taken seriously. So that's the best I can do without putting them in greater danger by trying to say that I have information from the future. So
yeah, don't sweat it. Hey, Doc, as long as you're alive.
Right. I should ride out and tell Clara, and we'll have to figure something out. But stay here. I'm going to ride out and tell Clara. So he's going to hop on. So he's going to. He seems to be really concerned with something, but he's not being totally upfront about it. He really just wants you to stay in the barn and not have anybody see you. So that seems to be a primary concern.
Doc, are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm really worried about your presence here and how it could affect things. I promise I'm going to ride out to Clara. I should be back. If you have a 4-hour limit, I'll be back before it's over. Just try to make yourself comfortable.
Let me ride with you. What's going to hurt?
All right. If you want to meet the missus.
I would love to meet the missus.
Well, she's the future missus, really.
She looks really cute, Doc. I'm super happy for you.
He says, we're going to be married next month, so...
Does she know you're a time traveler?
Yes.
Whoa, that's huge.
Yes, and it's been very difficult trying to keep this a secret. I mean, our engagement's not a secret, but I had to tell her. She saw everything. She saw Marty travel back to 1985. So
no, that's Doc. That's amazing. Seriously, congratulations. That's so good.
I'm glad you're here, but I'm just very worried. So
sure, yeah.
All right. Go ahead and have you ridden before?
It's been a minute, but yeah.
In that case, you take Newton.
Okay.
So you can hop on Newton. Newton is he's a dark bay. For anyone who knows horses, so he has a dark fur and he's got dark like black hair and like a black tail and stuff. So you can hop on that.
Well, he's my bay.
Yeah, BAY. And Doc is gonna hop on Archimedes and he's gonna slowly, carefully like poke his head out as he starts to open the door to like get you both out of there, and will then start leading the way over to Clara's. Once make sure that no one's really paying much attention.
Thanks for listening to Kate Was Here. To support this and other surprise RPG experiences, head to patreon.com/omniverse media.